We are live.
Perfect. I'm not sure how many people have joined as of now, but thank you guys for tuning in on a special Valentine's Day where the three people here have taken their time out of the day, of the night to make sure they can teach you. So thank you very much, firstly, Jaydeep, Shivali, and Prasad. Really appreciate it very much. And as you know, they are current students in JBIMS, so they are really people who experience CET through and through. They know what it is like to go up and down in CET when there are 24 days left. There's a lot of pressure on what to do in the last literally 3 weeks. So please keep your questions very directed to this last phase of your CET journey. It's super important that you kind of don't let go at this point, but also don't burn out in the next 3 weeks. So there are lots of topics that they have to talk about and lots of topics that you can ask. I know there'll be like 1,000 questions in your mind. Drop them in the comments. Make sure you ask everything. They'll be here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So get all your doubts cleared. We're there to guide you, but they are the best. They're the latest set of toppers to get through JBIMS. So we trust them a lot more than our 3-year-old attempt. So ask them your questions. They're right here to help you. So let's just start off with a very quick introduction. Jaydeep Prasad, we already had you on the channel, but let's start with Shivali for a change. Let's do that.
My name is Shivali Yadav. I have done my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from MIT Pune. I got into JBIMS through my third attempt, in which I've scored a 99.90. In my first two, I've scored a 99.58 and 99.58 and 99.23. And yeah, in my third attempt, I got into JBIMS.
Shivali's been with us since quite a while, actually, at the top percentile. We're very happy that she's finally got through and she's made the change. It's been two very close attempts.
Yeah.
But I thought you have a similar story, right? You were also very close in the first attempt or something like that.
Yeah, in the second actually I got 99.77.
Right. So we have experienced repeaters here, as I said. A lot of faith in these three people here. So Prasad, very quick introduction because let's just wrap it up there.
Yeah, so as I just said, I gave CET three times basically. In first attempt I got 98.64. In second 99.77. And in third and I got 99.94 and I converted JBIMS subsequently.
Perfect. Jaydeep, on you to wrap it up.
Yeah. So again, I am here with on my third attempt. I gave in 2021 where I had 93.69. In 2022, I had 99.36, and its final attempt CT 2023, I had 99.88 percentile.
Great set of people who know CET in and out, as I said. So I'll leave it to the three of you to take this forward. I just saw one comment in the question saying the TTP mocks are not working. Please reach out to the business number. We'll be more than happy to help you there. The number is in the description on any of the videos if it's not in this one. So just reach out to them and just drop a message. Usually the number is always busy or unavailable. So just drop a message. We'll reach out and figure it out for you. Perfect. Thanks again to the three of you for being here tonight. Really, really appreciate it very much. Over to you to take this forward. Thanks.
Thanks, Anay. I think we can start with the questions here. So, Shivali, you want to take this first one, or?
Yeah. So as you're saying that the vocab is too hard, I think daily you can practice for like say 5 to 10 words a day, in which probably I think this is not something that you should start doing now because we are very close to the CET. So for now, you can just pick up some words which have been constantly coming into exams frequently, as those get definitely repeated. So you can focus on those words. So instead of doing everything right at the moment, you can focus on the words which have been coming in the exams repeatedly and do them.
Yes, I agree with Shivali actually. So, if you are facing problems with vocab, right, and like it's not much of a time as of now to start from the scratch. So maybe you can just take more sectional mocks and practice the questions that are coming in those. And apart from that, the daily reading you should be doing parallelly, like that also helps in vocabulary. And most of the questions you can solve with elimination of options. So the more you can do is focus on sectionals. That's I would say.
And apart from that, I would say you can pick some words that are coming in the RCs or any sets of question of verbal, I would say. And you can search, you can just randomly search for those meanings in the Google. So that will definitely add up to your word power, I would say.
Again, I think this another question is for you, Shivali. So maybe you can talk about cutoff.
Yeah, I think the cutoff was 99.90 itself. So that is how I got in. So I think we can take the further questions. Jaydeep.
Okay. So strategy for odd man out and para completion. Read करने में ही 2 मिनट around लग जाते हैं and accuracy low. Okay. So my strategy used to be in this kind of question is that you can identify some of the linkages in para completion at least. So maybe some out of five, four, five options, you can just find two, three which are like closely related in some context. Maybe there are some reptiles given, and another set is for the animals. So maybe you can find a common linkage in some of the options, and for sure you can just eliminate those. If you find a common linkage, at least two, three options you can eliminate. So it's not like you have to be accurate at odd times. Like maybe your rationalization for particular answer may be different from the question who has set paper setter, right? So I think it is more of a subjective. Maybe sometimes it can be you can just get the right answer, but the logic may be flawed. So even though you may have the right logic, the answer could be given in the wrong way. It can be evaluated in the wrong way.
And regarding, I would say, para completion. So para completion, I would say, is more of an intuition game. Definitely, your verbal knowledge is definitely adds up to it, but it's definitely about linkages, as Jaideep said, and it's about intuition. Like what answer you feel the most closest to it. So as I said, the verbal is very confusing and very ambiguous type of section. So more the intuition you build over the time through practice, the more it will help with your para completion. So yes, that's what I would say about the para completion. So the more you practice the questions, the more you will get comfortable and more the intuition you will get around those questions.
Yeah, and I would say that don't waste your time in these questions because there is a possibility that you will get these questions wrong at the end because there might be possible you can think of some option but there might be an option it can be a wrong option as well. So go with your intuition. If you think that keep reading newspapers as well, which will help you definitely creating what can come further and subsequently in the as you're saying para completion and odd man out. So don't waste much of your time in these questions.
Yeah, I hope we have answered your question. Let's move on to this particular quant specific one. Someone has asked, like they have given 14 mocks scoring in the range of 100 and 110, and quants is in the range of 20 to 25. I think most of the gap is you have to identify why you are not getting the score because of the concept gaps. If you are like skipping the question just because you are not getting the concept right, or you are just marking because there is some silly mistake or calculation error. So you have to identify what kind of pattern you are getting. Are those concentrated in particular section like arithmetic or modern math? Where are actually those gaps are? Okay, so you can just go over the mocks which are you have given previously and see the kind of questions you could have easily solved. Maybe like your approach was wrong, that is given into the solution. So if there are majority of the questions from a particular section, let's say for the arithmetic, that's more probable in this case. So try to find out better methods. You can just go on to YouTube, check for banking channels, or even pick up some books, or clear your fundamentals. Maybe prepare a formula list or formulas you can use for solving quickly. Speed math is also one addition. So identify the pattern through which you are getting the questions incorrect. So that I would recommend for the increasing quant score.
Uh, yeah, and I think apart from that, I think question selection is one area you should focus on. So I would say with CET being jumbled, in jumbled way, I would say um, the more of your marks depend on what sort of question are you selecting and solving. So CET is more about those 150 easy questions that come into the exam and then those 150 dicey or difficult questions that come into the exam, right? So you have to be good at picking those type of easy questions and solving them first and taking the lead in the exam. So that's how your attempts will increase because you're attempting the easy question first, so your time will be low, and that's how your accuracy will also increase. So that is one of the area apart from what Jaydeep advised that you can attempt.
So yeah, should we go on for the next question?
Yes, we can go ahead.
So the next question is, are there any tips for maximizing scores in LR for the set of 5 questions in LR? And I'm taking around 7 minutes and I'm very tensed about it. Need your help. So basically, in LR as well, the set selection is very important because if you get stuck somewhere and if it is going to take you around 10 minutes, then it will be of no use. So as you're taking 7 minutes, I think it is a good time depending upon how difficult the set is. For LR questions, for puzzles, around 7 minutes is a good time, 7 to 8 minutes. And for other set of questions such as input output, even 5 to 6 minutes is a good amount of time that you're giving. So I don't think so there is any kind of this thing in this. Jaydeep, if you want to add anything to this.
Yes. I don't think you, if in the set of like, if you have 5 to 6 questions for a particular set, you don't exactly need to solve all those questions. Maybe if out of the 5 questions, you may have 3, 4 sitters question. Maybe you can just quickly, with the simple rearrangement, you can just tabulate and you can just mark the right answers. But maybe like 1 or 2 questions in that particular set, maybe more of a time consuming. You would need more of a more reasoning to tabulate detailed information. Maybe there's some kind of inference should be drawn to tabulate more information from the particular set. So in that case, maybe you can just try to skip those 2, 3 questions just because you can save that time and utilize it in some other questions. So it's not necessary if you have set of 5 questions, you need to solve every each one of them. So maybe like give try 2, 3 right questions and save your time for the other questions. You can try that approach as well.
Yeah, so I think we can go to the next question. So Ibad is saying that what was my average score on mocks while the second attempt? So my average score was around 145 to 150 in my second attempt. But what I would like to add is that your score is not a good indicator of how you will do in the exam specifically. What is the good indicator according to me is how much rank you are getting in the whatever mock you are taking. So I would say you can target around uh, top 5 or top 10 rank in any mock you're taking. So CET is all about topping the list of all the test takers. So that's what you should attempt. So the magnitude of marks that can vary according to the difficulty level of the exam, but definitely the rank is what stays constant. So I think you should aim for the rank, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree with Prasad. I think the mocks you are giving, they vary into the difficulty levels, right? So the kind of mocks you are giving, some mocks maybe you may score like 110 or something like that. But in that mocks, the average topper is maybe like 120, 130. So maybe you did not exactly do badly in that mock. So you have to see the relative standing where you are currently your position is. So rank is what matters, not exactly the score or percentile. It's just that every mock you need to use it for the improvement purposes. What kind of gaps you can find in each mock. So that's the purpose of mocks.
So Avantika is asking strategy for RC. So see, according to me, RC and puzzles are two areas where you need maximum amount of concentration in the CET. So what my strategy for RC was, I used to attempt RCs in the second round of my attempt. So why I used to do that? Because there can be some RCs who are longer in the length, but who have less amount of questions. So if a RC is around 4 to 5 of paragraphs, and it can consist of around only 3 to 4 questions. So skipping those RCs or keeping them for the end is one thing that you can do. But for a normal level of RC, I think the strategy that worked for me was I used to first glance through the questions quickly, and then I used to read the RCs with maximum amount of concentration that I can. Why I used to do that? Because see, when you see the questions first and then go through the RC, so you are basically solving those questions while reading the RCs itself. So you get the answers of those questions while reading the RCs itself. So uh, because of that, you won't have to get into the RC repetitively. So जितने बार आप आरसी में एंटर करोगे उतना टाइम आपका वेस्ट होता जाएगा. So what I would suggest is that read the RC in the first go with the maximum amount of concentration, and then you will be able to solve those questions quickly. So that's what worked for me.
One input I would add here is that the RCs in CET are in quite easy in nature. So you can just find the answers of every question, most of the questions in the paragraph itself, the given RC. So for my approach, it was like first reading the question maybe and going back to the RC and quickly just marking the questions, the answers that I could see in the first glance. So the approach I followed is that I did not used to read the complete RC. I used to skim that because particularly I used to read the question, then I will briefly understand the paragraph, and I didn't used to know exactly what kind of context is given, but maybe the answers, if I could find a particular answer then and there. So that approach is also fine because that could fetch me the maximum mark rather than going from the RC to question. So also that is one approach I would suggest.
So I would like to add here that many a times, even in the RC questions, we have synonyms, antonyms, or the questions which don't require much of RC reading. So just by answering the questions which don't require you to read the RC, even if the RC is lengthy, if you have less amount of time, then what you can do is just go through the questions once and see the questions which don't need reading the RC on whole. And even there are some parajumble questions in the RC. So the questions which can be solved without reading the RC, if you don't have time, then those are the ones that you can attempt.
Yeah, I think that's a very good suggestion, Shivali. Akshay Dwivedi is asking, he is taking time in parajumbles. So see, I think parajumble is a one type of question which is very dicey in nature. Even if you, I think even if you are given more amount of time to solve it, there are chances that you won't be marking that question with the 100% surety. So what I would suggest is that what will be, go with your first intuition. What is the answer of it? Definitely have a logic towards it, but don't waste much of the time on solving those RC, solving that parajumble perfectly, because there can be some different logic that that test setter that I have applied. So just go through that parajumble, arrange those sentences according to your first intuition, and just go to the next set of questions. That's what I would advise for the parajumbles.
uh, the complete reading comprehension section, irrespective of the question type, the verbal ability and the reading, is primarily dependent on how much of your uh, command or English is currently is. So I would suggest daily you should practice reading newspapers and books if you prefer. So that way the mind of yours basically understand what kind of context is given for the particular question. So it is not exactly a hard and fast rule that you will follow this XYZ kind of framework just like in quants, right? So most of the stuff it's like either you understand the context or not. So based on the contextual understanding, you should be able to answer the questions in case of verbal ability and reading comprehension. So try to learn more, try to read more, and I think that will be you can use sectional mocks if since the time is very less. So sectional box also one of the ways, but more you read, the better you get in the verbal ability and reading comprehension.
So for parajumbles, specifically, what I would suggest is that go to the elimination strategy basically. Don't attempt to solve those parajumbles or arrange those by yourself. You can definitely resort to the uh, elimination strategy, that what are the chances that suppose A statement has chances of coming as the first. So you can eliminate options according to that and then come to the conclusion that yeah, this is the option that is correctly ordered. So that is one thing that you can do with the parajumbles, I would say.
There are these, I will club these two questions. What is the percentile for the JBIMS? And another one is what you are currently score, what are the possibility of getting into JBIMS? So I think no, at any given moment, you should not directly focus on the getting into JBIMS. You should be focusing on acing the CET. For all India, I think the score is close this year. I think it was 19.98 percentile. And for Maharashtra, as Shivali said, for the first merit list, it was like 99.99 percentile. So this was result outcome of acing the CET. Not exactly everyone was focused on the JBIMS. They were primarily focusing on the kind of input they are giving for the particular the CET exam or any CMAT or MAT, any kind of exam. So your focus should be on maximizing your score by preparing well for the CET. The outcome can be anything. Like your rank depends on what others have relatively performed in that particular test, right? And even the evaluation method for the last year we had equipercentile method where everyone each slot had 100 percentile. So in even the method of giving the percentiles can differ. So what you can control is the input, right? So focus on that. So that I would recommend.
So Saurav is asking a question. He's attempting around 150 questions, getting 95 to 100 marks in TF mocks without flukes. VARC is weak section, also taking too much time in critical reasoning. How do I improve in these two sections? So maybe Shivali, you can take that question.
Yeah. So as you said, test funda mocks are not that easy. They are kind of on the moderate to tougher side. So the scores that I used to get were around 120 in the initial mocks and 135 to 140 in the later mocks. So I think if you're giving the initial mocks, then 120 is something that you should 120 to 125 without flukes is what you can is what is a good score. So as you're saying that critical reasoning, you're taking too long. So even as we have been saying that critical reasoning is something that you have to practice. You can give sectional mocks for this because critical reasoning is a very scoring subject, scoring topic, because it there is a possibility that very small questions even can occur in the exam. So they don't require much of time, and they can be and you can come with the correct answer as well. So you can practice sectional mocks for critical reasoning. And secondly, as you're saying, VARC is weak section. So VARC definitely needs reading. So for VARC, I would say for reading comprehension, you can practice RCs and put in some effort for vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms, because they have been coming even in 2023. We had a huge number of synonyms, antonyms been coming in the exams. So that is a section that you can focus on. And yes, Shubham, if you would like to add.
Yeah, I will add here. So critical reasoning and VRC, I think both of these kind of question also depend on how you interpret the given question, right? So I would say the give focus on the options. Most of the cases, I doubt if they're going to be difficult questions such that such cat or zat level critical reasoning or any kind of reasoning question would be there in CET. I think two to three options are sure shot going to be very far away or illogical. They don't even fit into the context that is given to the question, right? So I don't think you should be spending if your accuracy is low in this particular kind of question, don't even bother to spend too much of the time on that particular question. Let's say if you are you read a question, you read the option, maybe you got like maybe you eliminated two three options and you are on the final two options. Maybe try to just mark with the good probability that this sounds much better, this is fitting more accurately into the context, and just mark it. There is no point in wasting so much of the time in critical reasoning questions if your accuracy is low in this area.
I think that covers most of the part of it. Maybe we can go to the next question. So Shivam is asking, DI table and puzzles are also taking time. Sometimes I write the data of the puzzles after that I left it. It wastes around 2-3 minutes. What should be the approach? I used to be a little weak with my puzzles specifically. So my strategy was that on a given, I think after 10 to 15 mocks, I got an idea that I am good in some types of puzzles and I'm weak in some types of puzzles. So what my strategy was, I tried to focus on my stronger types of puzzles that I was with. So my strategy was that I attempted the easier types of puzzles in my initial part of the solving the puzzles and left the difficult puzzles for the end. So what happens is that basically where you're weaker in the wherever you're weaker in the specific type of puzzle set. So बेसिकली सीईटी में ऐसा होता है कि आपको कभी कभी वो टाइप का पजल थोड़ा इजी दिख जाता है और फिर आप उसके अंदर चले जाते हो सॉल्व करने के लिए, फिर 2-3 मिनट बाद ये रियलाइज होता है कि वो पजल आपसे नहीं सॉल्व हो रहा. सो माय स्ट्रेटेजी वाज, जब आपको पता है कि आप हिस्टोरिकली वीक हो वो टाइप में, so either you can improve it or you can skip that puzzle for the last part. So that used to be my strategy, so that I don't waste my time in that difficult level of puzzle that I'm historically weaker in.
In puzzles on DI set, actually in DI, I was also hating that type of questions. So most of the time, if I came across a DI set, I will just see if I am able to interpret that particular chart. If there are like 2-3 charts and are if there are too much of an interlinkage and questions are dependent on maybe if there are too many deductions that should be there for the answering particular question, I used to not attempt those questions right away. Maybe I would come back to those questions after maybe like in the round 2 or 3. And maybe in the charts I used to measure the distances between, if there is some relatively, let's say there are two trend lines are given, and if the question is asking in which year the sales are lower, in which year the sales are higher, I used to mark the answers based on observation, what I could see with my naked eyes. That way I could mark the right answer in DI sets, because I wanted to save my time in those cases and my accuracy was pretty low. In the cases of puzzles, I would say underlying framework or any puzzle is kind of more or less same in the matrix or in the linear arrangement. You just have to write in a particular order, or even if there are 3 variables or 4 variables, it's just that how you tabulate those informations and if you find the conflicts in any of this information. So it depends on how you interpret the particular caselet or given puzzle. So the more you able to interpret, the better it becomes. But the tabulation, the underlying how you write, how you answer the question, it's one and the same in every type of question. More or less, there may be some variations, but I think the underlying language is same framework. The question may be tricky to interpret.
So yeah, I would just like to say that in DI sets, many a times what happens is 3 out of the 5 questions are on the easier side, whereas there are 2 questions which are on the difficult side. So you can just identify the 3 questions which are on the easier side and try to solve them those. Instead of focusing on all, instead of focusing and trying to solve all the 5 questions, you can solve the easier ones. And similarly for the puzzles, definitely keep the lengthier and the difficult puzzles for the second round and do the easier ones in your first attempt.
Okay, so Justice is asking, I am attempting mock since 10 to 12 days. My score ranges between 115 to 130. I am not able to increase it. Can you please suggest a proper technique to analyze the mocks? I think at around 115 to 130 score, you have comparatively lesser set of questions where you have to focus on. So maybe for specifically cons and verbal, what you can do is go through each and every section, each and every question that you have done wrong or faced the difficulty while solving, and maybe you can start taking the notes of those questions to like sort of have a set of questions that were difficult to you, and now you have covered it, and maybe you can solve those questions in the next attempt of the mock or CET, I would say. So नोट्स का क्या एडवांटेज होता है कि आपके पास एक सेट बिल्ड होता है और and if you are doing one question wrong in the one mock, or have faced the difficulty in solving it, uh, how you can gauge your analysis is good or not is that if you are able to solve that question again, if it appears in the next mock or CET. So if you are able to solve it, then I think the sole purpose of mock is satisfied there. But if you are not able to solve the repetitive question again, I think that's where you are lacking. So I would say at 115 to 130 marks, these are the few minute areas that you can focus on so that you can decrease the magnitude of difficult questions that you are facing in the mocks. So I think that's it. That is the one strategy that you can focus on.
And I think Prasad actually rightly mentioned of taking down the notes, exactly what kind of pattern you are observing into the mocks, right? So you have mentioned you are taking mocks from 10 to 12 days. I think it's not an accurate sample that you are currently seeing. Uh, you at least need like more number of mocks to actually evaluate your capabilities. For me, I used when there was sectional test, we could get accurate idea for particular sections. Let's say for a quant, we could get the easy analysis. But in the case of jumbled box, it's not like you can easily analyze those because you have to go question by question, right? So even let's say for one time you get quant question, the next question would be of the verbal section, and on the third question would be on the logical reasoning, let's say. So the thought you are changing your mind, the changing the way you are approaching particular type of question sets, let's say quant, that also gets that also cause you a little bit of distraction. So if you are scoring into the range of 115 to 130, I think you need to give more of the mocks. The more you mocks you give, the more better you get comfortable with the test structure and the accuracy of the scores that you are getting further. That would give you the accurate picture of what kind of abilities that are, what kind of preparation level you have currently. So I think, and one additional thing is, as your score increases, there is going to be difficulty in analyzing the gaps because most of these stuff would be of the silly mistakes and calculation error. So the analysis is inherently going to be difficult over the period.
Shubham has asked a doubt that I have been yeah, I'm stuck in the range of 135 to 140, and he's asking about what was your D-Day strategy. So the strategy for me was I converted my mock into uh, two sections. So first one was the easy section, second one was the difficult. So for the easy section, I created a list of topics or type of questions where I was historically stronger in. So how I got that intuition? So I got that information after my after analyzing the 12, 15 to 20 to 30 mocks that I gave previously. So from that mocks, I could list down the topics where I am historically good in, where I have taken lesser amount of time, where I don't have to think for much of the time, and I can straight away solve those questions. So what happens is that when you list those type of questions in each of the sections, basically you are taking less amount of time to solve more of the type of questions. So your marks per minute increase drastically in it. So you are already taking the lead in those questions, and by reducing the time in those type of questions, you're saving the time for difficult type of questions in the end. So that used to be my strategy. So in my easy types of questions, I had abstract questions, verbal standalone questions, logic. I had standalone questions of logic apart from puzzles. And for verbal ability, I would say apart from RCs, I used to attempt everything. And for quants, I used to attempt DI and quadratic in my first section. That is my easier section. Then subsequently, as I increased difficulty level of my questions, I used to attempt RCs. Then I used to come on standalone questions of fonts, and then I used to jump on the puzzles area. Even in those type of questions, I had a rigidity that I am historically good in this type of puzzle, and I am weaker in this type of puzzle, as I just previously said. So I have a rigidity in what type of question you have to attempt in the starting phase of the mock, which is very crucial phase of the mock to get the lead sort of in the CET, and then gradually increase the attempt of difficult type of questions as you gradually proceed into the mock.
Okay, let's take this one. So someone else is facing difficulty in vocab question using elimination method and reading new words, and still they are learning new words every mock, in every mock, right? So I think your approach or you are actually getting the quite good learning. The more new words you are facing, actually that is the learning that you need to be taking from the mocks. It's not like you are getting those questions wrong, but let's say saw one question, and in that you are asked to get the synonyms. You are not exactly learning that synonym only once. You should also try to understand the meaning of other given words, or the other options. So in that case, you are not exactly just getting the answer right or wrong. You are also learning from that particular question. So it's not like your purpose is lost by marking wrong answer or getting low score. You are continuously improving, even though you are taking the mock. So I think it's the right way. You are getting improving your vocabulary. This way is also fine. The more sectionals you give, the more words you come across, and that's how you can improve your vocabulary. That's fine, totally fine. Someone asked this time competition around how many? 2.5 lakhs, I guess. Yeah. I think that's fine because most of the test takers at the bottom of the whole group aspirant pool. I think there would be hardly a difference. The competition would be in the top 10,000, 5,000 kind of people who are actually scoring in good in mocks and actually dedicatedly preparing. So you don't have to look at the complete denominator of 2.5 lakhs aspirants. So maybe just look at what kind of score or rank you are currently getting.
So basically, there is this question that in test funda mock, somebody is relatively they are saying that there is relatively less vocabulary such as antonyms and synonyms. So I would like to say that in English section, we even do have RCs, and even in different questions, we get to know different vocabulary. So it is not just the synonyms or antonyms questions that you come across, but even in RCs, you'll find some words which probably you might not be knowing. So even these words should be noted down and should be revised further.
So Prathamesh is asking, I think this is something we have all encountered while giving mocks. So he's asking, I make a lot of silly mistakes and the questions which I find tough or rather which I can't solve while giving the mocks, later I'm able to solve them. Any suggestions? So I think every CET aspirant or someone who is aspiring JBIMS have faced this issue. So what I would suggest is that this is something that you will be able to concur with the amount of mocks you will take. So more the amount of mocks you will take, I think more you will get comfortable with that stress management. So as Jaydeep said, I think CET is more about the stress management, I would say. So maybe you are not able to solve those easy questions because of the some kind of stress or some kind of anxiety about the mock of scoring good that you are having. So how you can overcome that anxiety or stress is that you have to give more and more amount of mocks so that you can get comfortable with. So what you should work upon is that the D-day or the exam day should be just like another mock for you. So that's how comfortable you should get with the mocks or the CET exam, I would say. So intensify the amount of mocks that you will take in the upcoming days, and I think you will be good to go.
So Saurav is asking if we can tell the average time per question for each section, and some specific tips for geometry. So I would like to say that geometry, what I had done was I had learned the basic normal formula that we have for all the 3D diagrams and all. So geometry, I don't think so they are asking much in the exams. Maximum 2 to 3 questions is what has been coming. So you can focus on the basics of geometry, and I think I've answered your question for that. And speaking about the average time per question, for me, for English, it was around 45 seconds. For LR, it used to take around 45 seconds to 1 minute, something between that. For abstract, definitely 30 to 35 seconds, not more than that. And what am I left with?
The verbal ability.
For cons. Yeah, for verbal 45 seconds, and for 45 to 1 minute, and even for quants it used to depend. So if I think that I can solve a question even if I'm taking 1 minute and 15 seconds, then I'll definitely do it, but not more than 1 minute 15 seconds. So that was my average time.
In I think even the exam doesn't ask explicitly. I think there can be questions on the mensurations as well. It's like more or less they depend on the formula base. Like you just have to plug in the formula and give the answer right away. So the way you can improve geometry and mensuration or any type of question like modern method, it's like you need to understand, you need to make a formula book. Maybe the way the formulas you come across while your preparation, make a note of them, maybe a PDF or a notebook you can maintain, and periodically try to revise that. Even that applies for the fast calculations like the cube, square roots. You have to daily revise those. And talking about like average time, my approach is that the complete mock, the most of the mocks I took was jumbled. So I focused on minimizing time for every question. If for a particular question I say I thought ki maybe I can give more time, maybe like 1.5 minutes for the particular question, I try to minimize that time for the next couple of questions, maybe no lowering the average overall. So I did not do it analysis for particular sections, but I went question wise. So on an average, I target that I should be able to tackle every question in around 50 seconds or 1 minute. Psychologically, it's also affected me that whenever I used to tackle one AR question that used to take around 10 to 20 seconds, right? So what I used to tell in my mind is that I targeted 50 seconds and I solved this question in 20 seconds. So also that acted as a reinforcement for me to tackle use that time for the other question. So I think that was my approach. Others can have their own way of solving questions. Prasad, you can comment here.
Yeah, Jaydeep, I think that covers most of the it. Tejas has one question, that should we focus on sectional or full length mocks? So I would comment on my strategy. So in the last 1 month, I was attempting around 2 mocks every day. And apart from that, as I was preparing full time for the CET, I used to attempt sectional test apart from that too. So each section, I used to attempt each sectional test one day. So considering that, I would say I was attempting around 3 mocks a day. So that varies from person to person. So my methodology was to get used to the mocks, or get used to the that time constraint that you have in the CET. So that was one of my weaker area. So that's why I attempted more and more mocks, so that I can get comfortable with the time constraint that CET offers. So from for other people, I would say you can be one mock can be sufficient for you, 2 mock can be sufficient for you. So it varies, but you should maintain a proper combination of mocks and sectionals, because mocks is where you can implement the strategy or assess your strategy, and sectional tests are where you can test your strategies. So right combination of both is very important to test yourself.
So taking this further question by Shivam, that he wants a strategy for abstract reasoning and grammar. So I would say for abstract, practice is something that will definitely help you. So sectionals you can give. And in abstract, there are these questions wherein there are many elements. So if you are unable to figure out what the answer can be, probably you can leave those questions or mark the ones which has common elements and stuff like that. And for grammar, we have this 120 rules by Nimisha ma'am on YouTube as well. So that is what I had done, and she has covered mostly everything in those 120 rules. So you can refer to that.
Let's take this last one question. What are the easy sections to score, and what kind of questions should be attempted? There is another question on the similar lines. What are the important topics? So there is detailed video on this TTP's channel about what are the important or moderately important topics. You can refer to that as well. In quant, particularly the arithmetic section, and in LR, the puzzles carry the most weightage. So having those comfort in those these two particular areas should fetch you most of the marks, I would say. I think others can answer these questions more elaborately.
What I can say on is that you can't skip one sort of section to attempt 180 questions in the CET specifically. So I would say uh, try to get uh, try to get familiarized with the all sorts of questions that come into the CET first, because to top the CET or score that sort of uh, marks or percentile, you can't skip any type of section. So you can have choices of skipping some types of questions, but you can't definitely skip the entire section as per se to attempt 180 or that sort of attempt. So I would say focus on getting familiarized with the all sorts of types of sections and as well as questions by giving mocks. I think mock is the ideal preparation that you can have for the CET. And yeah, I think that's about it.
I guess we can wrap up the session here. So, any closing thoughts, Shivali Prasad? You want to add something?
Yeah, I would like to say that in these few days which are left, what you can focus on is giving as much as mocks possible. So not like two, three per day, but like alternate, you can give one mock every alternate day and try and analyze where you're going wrong, and then probably give the sectional for those areas the next day, and then those try improving your score in the mocks.
So what I would like to add is that uh, specifically focus on the areas where you're weaker in. So this is specifically for the people who are scoring in between 122 or say 110 to 130 marks. So there is a very good scope of increasing your marks in the upcoming days. So what you can do is specifically focus on the areas where you're weaker in. Take notes of the questions you are facing the difficulties and daily revise it so that it those difficult questions get imprinted on your mind, and next time you encounter those questions you are definitely able to solve it. So the whole purpose of taking the box is fulfilled here. So I would say intensify your mock frequency, as well as take proper types of notes and daily revise it, and I think that will definitely help you increase your attempt as well as your accuracy and score.
Yeah, totally agree with Shivali and Prasad. I think most crucial thing you can do in this like next 20-24 days is that you can take as many mocks and analyze those. And the maximizing score in those particular in every mock you take is the analyzing part is the most crucial rather than taking the mock. So try to also analyze the mocks and understand what kind of gaps you are and continuously try to improve it. I think we can wrap up the session here. So thanks everyone for joining. You can just drop your questions if you have any in the comment section, and let's try to meet sometime soon. And yeah, I guess ending the stream now.